I'm going to go through how you can create your work basically. This is examples of students' work from previous years through a selection of different grades and going through sort of like how you can work it out. So remember our first task that we spoke about had to create a mind map. So you had the choice, this obviously one is feminism, you had the choice of doing collections, creative landscape or fantastic and strange. So we spoke about how you can create your work. Miss Walsh did a how-to mind map when it was handwritten, and I did one how you could do it digital version. So from here, handwritten, we've got feminism. So she's thought about how she can present her work, again looking like it's flower petals, symbolises feminism in sort of like a creative way. So within those petals and those sort of like shapes, she's then started to put her keywords and her thought process on there. So she's obviously, it's uniformed throughout her book that she's used white pages and painted over the top of them. You can create this process just again by purchasing sort of your black sketchbooks and doing the same from there. So we've got white handwriting and it's throughout the book the same. So from there, we're going to look at doing a mood board. So our mood board then is looking at you being uniformed. We've got images of the artist's work on there. We've got how it's going to be inspirational to us. So again, this can either be taken off your Pinterest and your Google Images. Again, that's going to be the same for that. And then stuck on for your inspiration. Ideally, it would be best to have some sort of keyword boxes on there as well, or even just some sort of annotation boxes. Just explain your thought process for that rather than it trying to think about it an audience from itself, which is a bit more difficult. So they've got the first artist, Barbara Kruger. Again, images of the artist's work. As you can see, the majority of them are black and white with red text banner boxes going over the top. And then from here, she started then to do an artist analysis. So we're looking in detail, which you'll do at a later date. Me and Miss will show you how to do artist analysis, working and explaining sort of like your thought process and how you want to work in the artist style. So from here then we've started to copy the artist's work with our own drawings. You can see that she's put her text boxes on there, looking at sort of working in the style of Barbara Kruger through drawing format. So we've now got our own images or taken from a glossy magazine or the internet, etc. Preferably, it would be best if you take your own photo shoots because you get better marks for having your own sort of images and your recordings on there. So we've got an image. They've then started to put maybe some of the text boxes and sort of like slogans on there. And then we've worked in the style quite explicitly in the style of Barbara Kruger. So we know that she's kind of getting the style in which that Barbara Kruger works in within her work. So again, she's got a drawing elements in there. So she might have drawn the images and then handwritten sort of like the text boxes again over the top. Photoshop plays a massive part as well in sort of manipulating and changing the way sort of work can be done. So you can see that we've kind of put a filter on there. We might have drawn back over the top of some of the photocopies, and then we're going to add another one. It might be posterized, making sort of it look a little bit more like it's been edited a lot more. Again, from there, we're starting then a reflection box on there to talk about how we've done that, what's been our thought process, and how we can move on a little bit further. So again, we get our own photo shoots. We're going to slice them up. We're going to change the way it looks. We're going to draw in a different way. Now we've got our second artist. So again, second artist, nice and clear that we're looking at Victoria Villasana. And now we've got a mood board of the images work. Again, taken off the internet. We then have our artist analysis. So again, it's a consistent to our first artist that we've looked at. This one uses embroidery thread stitches over photographs. So obviously you can't see on here, but these are actually dangling off the pieces of paper, so they're coming out, so it's more 3D related. So similar to what she did with the first artist, we've sliced it up. We're trying to change the way it looks, and we're trying to change it even further again. So we've got our third artist, more sort of water-based, watercolour sort of artist. So it's a different entire looking at sort of like styles and techniques again. And we're going to think about, after our artist analysis, how we can join our first two artists together. It might be that you're changing them to black and white, so it looks like Barbara Kruger's. It might be that you're going to be drawing into them and adding text boxes. As you can see here, then you've got like a Barbara Kruger sort of style thread, using the red as well, which is the Barbara Kruger sort of like style. And then we're going from there to look at sort of like different artists. So different styles, different techniques. This is you then sort of trying new areas, trying different mediums. So we can see that these are all hand stitched as well. So when I mean mediums, it's sort of like pen, stitch, biro, pen, watercolours, Photoshop, etc. So this girl used boards. So rather than having a sketchbook, she boarded it all up so it was better for her presentation, but it doesn't mean that there's any difference in terms of how it is. It's just personal preference. So she had her drawings, she worked into the style of her drawings. You can see that she's just looking at her drawing techniques here, which again is fine. You just have to make sure that you talk about that and you reflect on that, which she's obviously done within her text boxes here. So looking at maybe keywords, how it can help within her style. We've got mind maps, 3D work to show what we're going to be creating. Again, artist analysis, looking at mood boards of different artists, looking at keywords that are going to help us within a style of art annotation, looking then at how we can copy the style of the artist's work, replicate them, and then draw our own studies from there. So that's how we want to sort of like lay out our work. So this is your time now to try and think about what type of style you want to do, what type of work you want to come from this. So as you can see, there's another student's work. We're looking at different sort of like combinations. It's a little bit more abstract, this one, which is good in terms of how you're going to be a little bit more expressive in how you want to be. So we've got our mind maps, we've got images that are going to kind of inspire us to do work. So obviously gigs and sort of like music concerts, music being another option. So she was able to sort of like combine the two passions that she has. We've then got the style of being quite loose within our sketches. So looks at first artist, maybe more continuous line sort of style, simple sketches that could be done in your own time and then boarded up afterwards. These are swatches, so different piece of paper. This is where you might be sort of like looking at different mediums, so your pencil, your graphite, charcoal, for you then to think, right, well, which one works best and which one do you think I want to work in a little bit further. More Jackson Pollock sort of style splattered backgrounds and how we can combine the two. So she's now looked at two artists and combined those two artists together using the splattered paint backgrounds and looking at the continuous line, quite rough sketches over the top. So again, looking at a new inspiration, which is obviously taken either from Google Images, her own thought process, Pinterest to help you along the way. So how she develops and creates her sketchbook tells her about the actual person and about sort of the style they're going for. So I'd say to make it continuous throughout. So if you're doing like an ink background, you need to do an ink background throughout. So think carefully about how you're going to create and present your work first of all. So again here, from the first sketches, she's now going into a much more detail. She experimented with different sort of like techniques, so print and sort of like scratching off. It might not be for her. She's more paint related, which you can see as it goes through your sketchbook. So we're looking at sort of like new artists, looking at how we can create the work and how you propose to do it. Putting your sort of paint swatches on there is going to be amazing, because then you can speak about the type of work and the sort of like paint strokes you've got, and now you can create that within the sections as well. So it goes on and on until you can come up with some sort of final piece that you think you're happy with, that you can then work into. Okay, thank you.